Hello there, it's Jan here from JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. We're back with the next project in my 12 Days of Christmas series for this year, and I think we're on project number 6. And I've got this very cute little rocker card today that I've made, and I haven't used any specific dies other than my nesting circles. I've got a set of large nesting circles which I'll show you in a second, and I've actually done this all by using those dies. So this is the design. I've gone for just a simple die cut on the front, and I'll talk through how we've done that. And then I've gone for a matching square on the back with my sentiment, and this is where I plan to write a message to the recipient of the card. And once you stand this up, it's got that lovely little rocking motion here, just a little bit of something different. Now mine is a little bit heavy on the right hand side because I chose to add the bell embellishment, so it is tipping slightly that way, but yeah, other than that, you know, if you don't have anything that heavy here, it wouldn't have that kind of problem. It would stand nice and straight. So I just think bit of fun, nice one sort of for the children at Christmas. You've just got that little bit of movement in it, and really simple to make. Okay, so let's get into the tutorial. I'll show you how I've popped it together. We'll pop that one over there. He can rock over there to his little heart's content. Now the die set that I used is actually a set of nesting circles from Craft Stash, and we've got a really nice collection here in these. So I'll just take them out, and it does actually say in centimetre, well it says millimetres on there. So let me just measure that largest one for you. It was something that I didn't have in my stash. This is a 7 3/4 inches circle, the largest one here. Something that I didn't have, so I've invested in these a little bit more recently. I've got loads of smaller circles, you know, that sort of go up to about this size. But I just wanted a nice plain circular die that went up to a larger size here. So what I've done is I've taken some of my cream cardstock here, and I've used, I think it was the 4th one in, if I remember rightly. Now then, maybe only the 3rd one for my outside layer. Here we go. Oh no, so that was the 3rd and 4th one that I used for the, I'll take all of those out. Let's have a look. That one's too big. Look at it right in a minute. Was I right the first time? Yeah, there we go. So 1 2 3, the 4th one in from the edge, from the outside edge, if you have a set of these. And if you don't have a set of these, let me just measure that one for you so that you can see across there. We're looking at 6 3/4 inches. So I've made this so that it will fit into a 7-inch envelope. It's actually 6 inches tall when it's finished, and it measures that 6 3/4 inches across. So it will fit in a square envelope that's designed for a 7 by 7 inch card. So I was sort of aware of that when I was making the base of it. And what I did was stuck a couple of layers of my cream cardstock together using my construction glue, which dries really hard, and then I've die cut that with that largest of my 3 circles that I've chosen to work with. Okay, so we'll pop that one back, and then I took it into my scoreboard and just worked out where the halfway mark was and scored it down the centre here and folded it, and we'll reinforce that score line there with the burnishing tool. It wants a really nice neat crease in there so that it stays closed, and that's going to be the basis of our rocker card there. You can see you've got that element that moves, and it's just something a little bit different. And then to work from there, I wanted some matte layers to go on the front here, and I've gone with craft card and a patterned cardstock. And in order to do that, I went down to the next size circle. So these are intended to nest, and I cut out a circle of my craft card. Okay, and then I've just cut it in half, and I've used half on the original sample, and I'm going to use the other half on here. You can see there we've got that nice piece that fits in the center here. It may be that you just have to trim a slither off the top so that you've got that border at the top. If you want this piece to go all the way up, and then a direct half a circle will actually do the job. But I've just trimmed it slightly just taking a sliver off here so that you've got that element of cream showing all the way round. And then from there, I've gone to the next circle down, and I did exactly the same with my piece of pattern paper. So you can see here that that's come out of this circle. So I've just used 3 circles in total, and they were just one design apart. So you can see there, you know, they literally all nest together, and then you've got that lovely border in between the designs. And then I took my pattern paper, and I've just got some scraps of red card that I'd got on my desk, and I just thought this just breaks it up a little bit so that when you put the topper on, you've got that little element of red peeking out to match the details on the front there. So I've stuck that across onto my card there, and I've inked the edges of mine with my vintage photo ink just to get a nice finish on that that paper. So all we're going to do is pop the paper onto the cardstock, and I'm going to use my construction glue for that. So my all-purpose glue, whenever it's just 2 cardstocks or 2 papers like that, I go for this one every time, unless there's a reason why not. And then I will go to a different type of adhesive, and I usually explain on the videos the choice of adhesive and why I've picked that particular one. So that just nestles in there slightly, nicely. We've got that good to go. And then we're going to pop this one using the same glue onto that card base there. So again, get this ready, and this can be drying while we work on that topper element then. So this one's just going to nestle nicely into that semicircle there, and it really is as simple as that. You know, if you've got the nesting circles, this is really, really easy. I know some of you use the circle cutters, you would be able to do it with that. And if not, you know, a compass, you know, for the external circle, you could actually work around, you know, a plate or something like that. Lots of different ways, but I just think the circles are probably one of the hardest shapes to cut. So if you haven't invested in a set of nesting dies, they are a good addition, I think, to your stash. Now, I'm not normally advocating buying lots of things on this channel. It is a case of use what you've got, but I myself bought these more recently because I didn't have that larger circle, so I wanted to add them, and mine are from Craft Stash. The Creative Craft Products is actually a Craft Stash brand. So that one's ready. We'll leave that to one side and let that one dry. I've got it a little bit wobbly there. There we go. But that's the beauty of using that that wet glue. So we're going to pop that to one side with the old block on it and let that one dry nice and flat. And then we're going to work on the section for the topper here. So I've cut a couple of squares in my craft card. So I wanted to do one at the front and then back it so that the back of the craft card wasn't showing, and also it gave me a space to put my stamp sentiment on there. So this one measures 4 inches square, and then I chose a different pattern paper at 3 3/4 inches square, and we're literally just going to mat these together to create our background piece. So again, we're going to use that same glue. Just pop these together, and then we've got a little bit of die cutting to do. So we'll get that one on there and get that one drying. And again, that wet glue just allows you to sort of pop everything in place, and then we can leave that one to dry. And then I did exactly the same sizes. Okay, so we had that 4-inch square for the craft card, 3 3/4 inches square, and this is what was left over after I'd cut my cream base. So I've just, and then stamped it, added a little bit of colour in with the detail there, and these are going to go back to back eventually when we stick them onto the card. So we will leave those to one side. Now my die, this is one again that I've had. I believe this was from Amazon. I'm not 100% sure. I've had this a little while now, but he's just a very cheeky little reindeer popping out from behind the ho 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 sentiment, and it's very easy to trim that sentiment away. So we're going to do that as well. So what I want to do is cut one of these out of craft card. So I've got a scrap of the craft card left here. I'm just going to use a little bit of tape to keep that in place so that it doesn't move, and then bring in my plates for my Gemini, pop that on there, pop my top plates above, and then just excuse me for a second. Any of you that follow me know that my Gemini is just sat behind me, so I've just got to twist round there and pass it through the Gemini, and that's going to do all the work for me. So again, when we take those out, we've got our little guy cut out there ready, and he's very, very cheeky. So you actually get, if I take the die off here, all the elements should, yeah, have stayed in place, which is what I wanted. And I actually saved the two little eyes and the nose out of that original cut. So we'll just pop those to one side like so. And then the rest of it I can take out as normal. So I'm just going to use my craft pick there and release all those pieces from inside. So we'll just take those out. We need to take the pieces out of the reindeer as well. So I'm just going to get rid of those little pieces. And then we can take the whole shape out of the actual cardstock. So again, just teasing it out with the craft pick, making sure, particularly around those little antlers, that we get them all nice and clear from the card. All right, so I don't need any of those ones. We can get rid of those pieces. Whoops-a-daisy, something's just gone flying. My heat tool. Pop you back in there. And this is our die cut that we've got here. He's absolutely gorgeous. I'll pop him down so that you can see him. So what I did was I've already pre-cut one of these. And just to talk you through what I've done with it. First of all, I went round the edges of my die cut, well, round these outside edges here of the reindeer with my ground espresso distress oxide and my blending brush, and just darkened up round the edge of the face and the antlers. Not too worried about the lettering because we're going to do something different with those. Pop the lid on there for a second. And then I've infilled some of the features on the little reindeer. So from the back, I've just used some tiny, tiny little scraps of pink there to go behind the ears, and a scrap of red behind the nose to give him the Rudolph red nose. And then I've put a piece of tape on the back of the eyes. And then what I did was colour these two pieces with one of my markers. Oops, that one's just disappeared. And then once you've got them coloured in, I've just dropped them back into the gap there. You can see they just fit back in where you've die cut them. Okay, and then to add another layer, we're going to actually pop these together. So I'm going to put this one on the back just to strengthen it slightly. All right, so we'll get that one done now. All I'm going to do is put glue all over this piece here, and I'm going to go to my acrylic glue for this one. So rather than use the all-purpose, I tend to call this my embellishment glue. It grabs and dries a lot quicker than the all-purpose glue. So if I'm doing embellishments and things like that and I want that quick stick, this one's the go-to. So I decant this into my small applicator, and it's perfect for this kind of job. Just to add right round here on the antlers. And I'm going to stick these two together just to make it a bit more substantial. You don't have to do this section if you don't wish. You can just use the one piece. But I just wanted to make it a little bit more substantial. So because it's a die cut, you've got that perfect match. And because you've got the wet glue there, you can just wriggle everything into place. Make sure that those little antlers line up. And again, we'll just pop our block on that and press everything flat. So that's got two layers together now. And then I wanted to highlight the lettering. So all I did was use some plain red cardstock, and then I've used my clear packing tape. So this is just a straightforward clear tape, again bought online, and all I've done is laid it over the top of the red cardstock so that I've now got a nice glossy finish on the cardstock. And then I've passed the die through again, just using the letters over that red, and I've cut out those letters, and you've got that lovely shiny finish on them now. Okay, if you don't have the packing tape, you could do this with clear embossing powder. You could ink it with your clear embossing ink and add a clear powder to it and heat set it, but this is just a really quick cheats way of actually doing this. And then all I did was use my little scissors and snip around the letters here, here, and up this side here. And what we're going to do is stick these over the top to make our embellishment. So you can see now that inking is just around the little reindeer. I just think he's so cute. So again, I'm going to add that same acrylic glue just on the back here. Get a nice bond with this, and as I say, it dries much quicker than the solvent based construction glue. And all I'm going to do is line this one up with those letters. And again, you know, the beauty of having the die cut means that it's going to line up perfectly. So just make sure that wriggles into place before that glue starts to grab. And again, I'm going to press it down. I use the blocks because they're a nice flat surface and you can get even pressure across the whole of the die cut there. And we've got that good to go. So he's ready to add to our piece now. Okay, really, really cute. I just love him. He just makes me chuckle. He's one of those die cuts that, you know, whatever you put on the card, you're going to get a smile from the recipient because he is absolutely adorable. So yeah, I'm just going to pop the lid on that glue for a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the one with the pattern paper on, and we're going to pop him on the front of here. Okay, so again, I'm going to stay with that same embellishment glue just because, oh, just while I think on, when I die cut this out of the red card, I'd got a piece big enough that went over his nose, and I had infilled it with a red cardstock first. First of all, I used the red the same as here. And then I thought actually he would look nice with the little shiny nose. So it's the same die cut as what I did the lettering, and I've just dropped that in there as well because it was 2 layers thick. It's allowed me to judge. He's got that little shiny red nose as well, which I thought was great. So again, we're going to use that same embellishment glue, add it to the back. Make sure all those letters have got a little bit of glue so that we can get them stuck down. And he's going to be sort of our main focal point on there. Very, very cute. As I say, this one would make a great one for the kiddies, I think. Back on the back of the antlers there. Making sure that all those pieces I've got a point to anchor them with. And then this one is going to stick just at a slight angle. I just want him a little bit kind of jaunty. And then once I'm happy with that, again, we can use that block to just apply some nice even pressure and get him stuck down there like so. So yeah, there he goes, and you've got that lovely shiny lettering there that's just going to catch the light along with his little shiny nose. Absolutely gorgeous. So then it's just a case of adding the 2 pieces to the base now. So that should be nice and on its way to be dry. We've got our back and our front, and we've got our base. Okay, now then, because I've got this raised element on here, I am going to pop a little bit of scrap card just at the top here so that when I rest this one on, it's got that straight anchor point here. You could put a piece under the front as well if you wish. I'm just going to go for that bit in the middle here. So I'm going to it's just literally an offcut of the craft card from when I've been cutting out the mats and layers that I needed. And I'm just going to centre this near enough in the middle of that width across the card there, just so that I've got a landing area. And then I'm also again, to make sure that that's anchored nicely, I'm going to use a piece of my red line tape across the two of these for that piece to land. And we know then with the red line tape that we've got a really secure landing space at the bottom there. So if we remove that tape, remove the liner off there, and then again decide how far down you want this, and I wanted to come a wee bit lower than the red one, so I'm going to use the pattern paper as a guideline here, and I'm going to line it up with this one here. I'm going to bring it down this far, and then I want it to be roughly centered. So this one measures 5.5, so half of 5 is 2.5, a half of a half, so the center mark is the 2 3/4 mark. This one measures 4 inches, so my halfway mark is the 2 inch, and I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm not going to measure it as such, but I know that that 2 inch comes up sort of part of the way across the letter O there. So all I'm going to do is literally center this by eye at 2 3/4, and then pop that one down on the front like so. Give it a good press, and we've got that one in place. So you could stop there, you could just leave that as it is, and it does actually stand up straight. It was when I added the bells on here that it made it a little bit heavy on that right hand side. But then because this is craft card and you've got cream, I wanted to do something with the back, and you do have options there. So for example, you could cut a piece of craft card that just fit up to the back of the card here and cover it so that you'd got that piece on the back. And then you could mat and layer this and put your sentiment on the back of here. But I actually wanted to put a whole piece on the back here like so. Now I did have an interesting discovery when I did this, and I hadn't thought about it when I actually made the card. But when I put this on, it trapped my circle inside, and you can see it restricts the opening here. Now it does open enough for it to stand, and because I didn't want to write inside the base, I'm okay. But if you wanted to put your sentiment on the inside of the card here, then you need to allow this to open up. So it would be a case of just making the reverse of it the size of that back piece, if you understand what I mean. So I would just be cutting a piece that measured 2.5 inches by 4 and sticking it over here so that you've got a nice panel at the back, possibly a cream layer to match this, and then you could mat the whole piece to put your sentiment on the back. As I say, lots and lots of different options. I am going to go with the same process that I did before. Like I said, because I wasn't planning on writing on the inside, I didn't have a problem with it sort of trapping that baseline. So I've put a piece of red line tape at the bottom because that's where the pressure is going to be when you stand it up. And then I'm just going to use a piece to trap it at the back. Now again, because we've got the width of the cardstock in, before I actually adhere these together, I'm just going to use a piece of craft foam, and I just buy this from my local craft store. It's £1 a sheet for an A4 sheet. I think it's branded as Funky Foam, and I've got this in different colours, and I'm going to trap this on the inside so that I've got a better distance between the two pieces. So again, different glues for different purposes. I like to use the PVA glue on the foam. I just find that I get a better stick with it, and I'm going to trap this on the inside here. I've just made it a wee bit smaller, and then again we can put that same PVA on here, cover the foam, plenty of glue on there because that craft card is very fibrous and the glue is going to soak in. And then I've got my layer of red line tape that's going to stick to the card base. So all I'm going to do now is line this one up with the top edge of my front piece, and then when I'm happy, give it a good press down. And again, let's just pop those lids on there, and that glue will dry underneath. Can you see what I mean now about it's actually restricted the opening here? So I'm not going to mess about with it too much until it's dry. But like I said, when I actually looked at it, I'd got enough space to just flare it that little bit to give it the sort of landing platform that it needed to rock. So we just need to add our sentiment on this one. Okay, and all I've done is just pop festive wishes. I just thought that was really nice because you've got the ho ho ho. It didn't need a massive amount of sentiment, and I've got a little bit of that foam spare, so I've just put that on the back to raise it slightly. And then all I am going to do is pop this over that bottom edge. So we're just going to have this run level with the bottom of the pattern paper there, and I want it to stick out to one side like so. So we've got this offset against the ho ho ho, and then that one can be pressed down. Just hold it down a second while that glue grabs. That wasn't easy to say today. Glue grabs. There we go. And that's the basis of the actual card. So again, you see when you stand it up, you've got that. This one just stands much straighter because it's not got that weight, but you've got that facility. Whoops-a-daisy. My glue's not quite dry yet on the back. I don't want to force it open, but you can see we've got that ability for it to rock. It's just very, very cute, just a different style. And then, as always with my finished sample, I added a couple of little brown gems at the top there. I didn't put those on straight away. I wanted the bells on it, so I've just tied a piece of twine with my little red bells, the jingle jingle bit. They do actually jingle. And then I just felt that it needed balancing, which is when the two little brown gems came in there. Okay, so we'll pop that one to one side. We've got him back, who does stand up nicely. As I say, he's a little bit heavy on this side. My husband said, well, why don't you put something else on that side to counteract it? But I didn't want too much going on. I'm quite happy with it like that. And it does the job. It does the rocking. And it's just something a little bit different for you for project number 6 today. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the sort of lightheartedness of this one. It's a bit different to what we've done up until now. Consider giving it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the tutorial today. Don't forget, you can always find me on Facebook. If you use Facebook, I'm on there on, under JB Crafts. And if you ever have a go at any of the designs, you know, don't be afraid to sort of upload them. Let us have a look. Some people prefer to send them me privately. They don't, you know, they don't feel comfortable putting them out on the whole media for everybody to see. That's fine. I will always try and reply to them. It's maybe not immediately, but I do always try and reply if I see your pictures, and I love seeing what people have done with the you know, with the ideas. As I say, I just happen to use this die. If you don't have that die, have a look through your stash, see what you've got, and you could use anything that would fit in that sort of 3 3/4 inch space on the panel there. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. I have some more to come yet. We're not finished with Christmas yet. I'll be back very soon. But for now then, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.